Whether you are moving now or moving in the future, the housing market is booming and life is moving on, and we all just need to be ready for it. We move for a number of reasons, whether it is because we want to be mortgage free, we want less housework, we want a different kind of space, or we have to move. The truth is, ultimately, no matter who we are all going to have to downsize eventually. My name is Susan Dunkley, and I am the proud owner of Susie Homemaker, and I am delighted to be presenting to you today for the Senior Showcase, presented by the Peterborough Chamber of Commerce. We specialize in helping you downsize and move, and today I'm going to share a few tips of the trade to help you get started on the downsizing journey. We all accumulate stuff, and lots of it is stuff that is unnecessary, which makes cleaning harder and keeping track of things really much harder. So let's try to change that. My husband had COVID. For over 4 months, he was positive and couldn't leave our attic. I was laid off from my previous job, and so other than taking care of Daryl, I was looking for things to do. So I purged, I cleaned out, I got myself organized. Now, I have always thought of myself as an organized person, but when you are busy or life presents obstacles or health challenges, it can mean that you're not quite as organized as you might like to be. For instance, I cleaned out our garage. I got it more organized. Now, our garage is not used for our vehicle. The back third is my gardening center, and the front 2/3 of it is my husband's workshop and where we keep the spare fridge. What I realized, though, was that we didn't have a place to put things specifically, and we both put things away very differently. And every time he put things away, I couldn't find them. And frankly, he couldn't find them either. Go figure. So we would buy another item. So when he came out of the attic, because he did, I said to him, "This is where my gardening stuff goes." And what a difference that has made for both of us, especially when he saw how much of a collection we had of some of the things in our garage. We had 5 sprinklers, we had 8 garden trowels, nails and screws galore, to name just a few things. We realized we needed a better system. Having too much stuff can be life debilitating. If you have ever watched one of those hoarder shows, you have seen how the clutter can get out of control. While we do have hoarders in the Peterborough and the Kawartha area, and while our homes are probably not like that, the fact remains that if we leave something out in the hall, like the mail or newspapers, it will collect and cause stress. A bag, shoes, a briefcase, if it's left in the front foyer, it means someone could trip on it in the middle of the night. And you don't want to fall. You don't want your partner or a friend who might visit you when COVID times are behind us to fall. If we fell and broke our leg right now, what would happen? It would take a lot longer for that bone to heal than it would have when we were 30 years old. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to look at our lives through a different lens so that our homes don't hurt us. We do that for our clients when we are helping them to downsize or to move. We make sure that their hallways are clear. We make sure that they have access to the things that they need, but also make sure those things are not in their way. We make sure that there is a place for everything so that everything can be in its place. Instead of saying, "I'm getting old and so have to keep things out of my way," we need to be able to say, "I want to be safe in my home. I need to be sure my pathways are clear." We need to make sure that we are safe. So now we need to ask ourselves the all-important question: do we have too much stuff? If the answer is yes, and for a lot of us, the answer is actually very much so yes. I do, not just my hubby, we all do. We all have too much stuff. So the question is, what do we do with that stuff? How do we deal with it? Because we will be better off with less clutter. So we're not just going to talk about house cleaning, we're going to talk about house clearing. And I'm going to give you 5 tips. Tip number 1, start small, but start and finish it. Don't leave it. Don't let an overwhelming list of things to do stop you. Don't start, say, going into the garage, and if you haven't cleaned it out in 10 years, think that you're going to tackle it in an hour or a day. That is just not going to happen. Pick a small spot, and start to work on it. Set aside some time, clear it out, clean it out, and then put out back in everything that you need. And then the things that you don't use or haven't used or are broken, ask yourself, do I need it? Can I fix it? Or can I let it go? For instance, start in the linen closet. Take out the towels, go through them. Do you have towels that you don't use? Do you have linens that are frayed or thin? We only need so many bed sheets and we only need so many towels. So decide to go through them and get rid of the ones you don't use or just aren't good anymore. You can donate them to a shelter like the Lakefield Animal Welfare, or you can go to the Diabetes Association bins for fabric that they sell to raise money. Let's get it out of the linen closet and then enjoy a job well done. Some of us use the linen closet to store more than just linens. Some people like to keep their medications in there. Maybe it is time to go through your medicines, and if they have expired or you aren't using them, then it's time to get them out of your house. Most pharmacies will take them and dispose of them for you. If your meds aren't all in the same place in the house, then maybe it is time to do just that. And you will be amazed at how many doubles you have of things and how many items have actually expired. I clean our meds out every year and still somehow manage to find 1 or 2 items that I should have disposed of safely the year before. Pick a junk drawer, a shelf. It doesn't have to be big, but when you start and then you finish, it feels really good. And you will say to yourself, I've got that done. Now it's time to move on to other things. I include my purse and wallet in this list. You never know what you're going to find. You may find an expired gift card, or even better, a gift card that you forgot you had. And now you can treat yourself or someone you love. Be sure to finish what you start, because if you walk away from it, then you are always saying, I have to go back and do that. And then you regret having started the job. And you become overwhelmed and you decide not to do any cleaning and purging, and you are right back to where you started. Be sure to set aside enough time. Whether it is a 1 hour, 1 day, or a whole weekend job, make sure to get the task done. My junk drawer. Everybody has a junk drawer. I keep mine minimalist. I am strict about what I let go into that drawer. There are no twist ties. There are a few elastic bands, my wine opener, my pens, my tape, my scissors, and it stays that way. When I open it up, and I do every morning, it is not overwhelming and it is easy to maintain. Lesson number 2. I have learned in the past few months, don't save things for good. COVID has been an excellent lesson in how one day we are entertaining or visiting and serving tea or drinks, and the next day we can't see humans for months. So enjoy your good things. Who are you saving it for? Our kids don't want this stuff. So let's enjoy it rather than letting it collect dust. And if we can't use it, then let's pass it along to someone else to enjoy. This is one of my favorite Kathy comics. She is looking at her favorite china. She is thinking about it. China takes up a lot of space. We don't use it very often, and you can't put it in the dishwasher, so you have to hand wash it. She is weighing the cost-benefit ratio of time and cost to using it. This one really struck a chord with me, because how many of us spend a lot of time taking care of the things that we have? We have a lot of things. We have to put them away. We have to dust them. More importantly, if we're moving to a smaller home, it may take up valuable space that we need for something that we will need or have to use regularly. We don't want our time to be consumed by taking care of that thing rather than enjoying our friends. And while we still can't enjoy them the way we would normally, the fact remains that we are taking care of things instead of our relationships with friends or family, and even ourselves. Can you remember the last time you used that thing? And if you can't remember the last time, then maybe it's time to let that thing go. I have clients who have 5 or 6 sets of china, and when you ask them, they inherited it, a favorite aunt gave it to them, they never use it, but they don't want to let it go. The guilt is there, but it is not your thing to take care of. If you are not using it, it's time to let it go. I know as a single mom with young children, I had no money. Everything I bought, I purchased at the thrift store. And I found some real treasures, and I am so thankful to all those people who cleaned out the things they weren't using to make space in their own home, because it allowed me to have some lovely things. Jewelry. I know I am guilty of this to this day, of having more jewelry than I can ever wear. I have items I haven't worn in years, and while right now is a bit different, even when COVID is no longer an issue, I still have jewelry I don't need and will never wear. So either wear it or let's get rid of it. Maybe you have a niece or nephew or favorite friend who might wear it and enjoy it. Or maybe you should consider going to a jeweler with several pieces and having them made into something new that you will enjoy. Repurpose that old ring of your grandmother's, or the silver tea set of your Nans. Art supplies. I just recently gave away a whole pile of paper and art materials. While I still loved to craft, there were lots of items that I knew I would never use, so I cleaned it out, and someone else will benefit from it now, and I will benefit from the cleared out space and not having to dust it. Tools. My husband is an infamous tool buyer, but he hasn't thrown out or given away the old ones. And many days he still can't find what he's looking for. I think we have 9 measuring tapes. So make a designated spot for each tool and then get rid of the doubles or the ones you aren't using or that are broken. Books and magazines are a big one. Books are horrific to get rid of right now. Libraries tend to want current novels, they want big print. But the importance of this information is that we have to start thinking about these things. What are we going to do with them? Where are we going to put them? Where can we get rid of them? The last house I helped purge had boxes and boxes of books that they had never read or hadn't looked at in years. There are lots of people out there wanting to read with no money to do so. Share the wealth. Start putting books out in the wee libraries at the side of the road located throughout town. Donate to a thrift store. Help the library with their annual book sale. Tip number 3, find a place for everything and put everything in its place. My grandmother used to say that and I thought she was crazy, but she was spot on. This is so important so that you don't have to go looking for things. If it has a place, you will know where it already is. You won't have to go buy another light bulb or another tool or another piece of Tupperware because you will be able to put your hands on it right away. If you can't see your things, you forget about them. When we do organizing, we get people who put things in grocery bags and garbage bags and then put them in the basement where it gets forgotten about it. We open it up, we sort through it, and we can see it. Then we need to put it in a proper storage container, whether it is a clear bag or a clear bin, so that it is not a problem. When you go downstairs, you can see it and you know what it is immediately. I don't have dark bins in my house because I can't see what is in them. And if you can't see what is in them, you don't remember. And if you don't remember, you don't use. I am a caretaker to my possessions, so I need to keep on top of them. I am a very visual person. So if I can see it, then I know it is there, and then I'm not going to go and buy more. If you always store items in the same place, then if you have a pantry in the kitchen and you have 6 cans of tuna, then you know that you have 6 cans of tuna and you don't need to buy any more. If you have a laundry room and you keep all your laundry soap in one place, then you know how much you have and you know if you have to buy more. Toilet paper. Well, we all know what a commodity toilet paper was during the start of the pandemic. Sometimes our clients collect things and we see lots of different items that are collected. We had one client who didn't realize how much toilet paper she had and had over 700 rolls of toilet paper. She was moving into a 700 square foot suite at one of our local retirement homes. Well, you all know we cannot take 700 rolls of toilet paper to a retirement home suite. So we ended up doing a donation. Because she had it all over the place in her house, she didn't realize how much she had. So when you have a place for everything, not only can you find it more quickly, but you also know how much you have and you can rotate it. A lot of times we see expired food that we have to throw out, and that is such a waste. If you can see it, keep it all in one place. You can rotate it and use everything that you have. Clean out that Rubbermaid drawer. If it doesn't have a lid or the lid doesn't have a bottom, recycle them, get them out of there. Have one set spot for all your Rubbermaid. Make sure the lids match up and everything else, recycle. A really big task that can be overwhelming are old photos. So much sentiment is caught up in the photos of our past, but perhaps it is time to consider how many of the photos we really need to help us keep the memories alive. Get old movies scanned so that you can share them with your children or your grandchildren. Sort through your photos. 99% of our trip photos are of sites we can't even remember visiting anymore, or people we don't remember because we haven't seen them in 35 years. Toss the ones that don't bring joy, scan the ones that do. Create an online photo book for your families to enjoy, because our kids, if given the task of sorting through all those photos, will probably just throw most of them out. If you can't scan your photos, there are several companies in town that will do so for you. But you will want to maximize your bang for your buck and make sure the photos you have them scanning are the ones that are the most precious to you. Tip number 4, be a generous giver. Make a regular date with yourself to look at the things in your house and think about what you want to recycle and what you want to pass along. China, crystal, teapots, and tools. So when your niece, your daughter, your friend, someone you know, when they admire something that you own, pass it along. You aren't using it, so give it to someone. They will benefit from it, and you will enjoy the fact that you've made somebody else happy and you no longer have to dust that item. For instance, we were helping our my mother-in-law, move out east. They had a barbecue that they had never used. In fact, it had a huge wasp's nest in it. We cleaned it out, and then the neighbor mentioned she needed a barbecue. So we gave her the barbecue. She needed one. We didn't have to get rid of it at the dump. And so we made her happy. We saved something going to the dump, and it meant that Kay wasn't moving something that was just going to sit on the deck at her new place and never get used. It's a win-win-win. Save time and money trying to find new homes for things. Pass it along to someone who needs it, who wants it, who will enjoy it. When you are thinking about your things going to a new home, think about personal connections. But if you don't have someone who will personally enjoy it, think about the number of people, like myself so many years ago, who would love to have that item even without knowing the history of the piece and drop it off at your local thrift store. Most young people don't want our stuff. They don't want brown, they don't want heavy wood, they don't want china, they don't want crystal. We have to accept that and find a way to get it to a new home. So if you can find someone who would love to take it, take advantage of that and do it. Consider ways to get things out of the house. Sell it on Marketplace, sell it on Kijiji, connect with a consignment shop. There are a number in our community that will take clothes, jewelry, antiques, and even some housewares. Donate old books, craft supplies, support the great work of the Habitat for Humanity here locally. If you provide them with your address and an itemized list, they will even give you a tax receipt for the items sold if the selling price tallies up to over $300. That's a really great deal. Whether it is dropping off to Vinnie's, Goodwill, to Lee's, the Mission, it doesn't matter. Just get the items out of your house so that you are not going to be using them anymore and they aren't collecting dust. Pass them along. Tip number 5, review your wardrobe seasonally. Everyone, man, woman, and child, needs to go through their closet regularly. If it is worn past its prime, if it has holes in the sleeve, recycle the textiles. If it can be worn again, then let's donate it or have it go to a consignment shop. But you do have to be sure that things are in style and clean. I would argue the more clothes you have, the more choices you have to make. And one can have tons of clothes and still have nothing to wear. One can also have tons of clothing, but still always wear the same 4 or 5 items. I think it is important to think about clothing that matches both your style and your lifestyle. To my thinking, there are 6 categories of clothing we each need, depending on our lifestyle. Active clothing. For me, this is gardening clothes, dog walking clothes, and my yoga gear. Daily clothing. What do you wear every day? Whether you are home all day or out socializing with friends when it's no longer COVID times, you have a set item that you like to wear daily. Formal clothing. With COVID, we haven't seen lots of formal wear required, but we will soon. That doesn't change the fact that many of us tend to buy something new for that formal event coming up. So if you have 6 sequin tops or 8 fancy dresses, you probably don't need them all. Go for a few classic pieces that can be worn over and over in a variety of ways and give the rest away or sell them online. Workwear. You may not be working in an office anymore, but perhaps you require something for that volunteer work that you might be doing. Going out. Whether this is for dinner, lunch, or going out to the movies, think about how often you do this. If it is only 2% of your month, again, I'm referring to post-COVID, then you really should only have 2% of your closet taken up by these styles of clothes. Loungewear. My leggings, my sweatshirts, my plaid shirts, my hoodies, what I lounge around in. And some days that's my daily clothing and my formal wear too. I suggest that you organize your clothes by use. If you are at your closet, you will be looking for a specific use for those clothes. So make it easy on yourself. One less decision to weigh down your day. When looking at your closet, go through your shoes. I'm nuts about shoes, but there are only so many in the closet that we can and do wear. So the shoes that you don't wear or that hurt your feet or have holes in them or the heel is worn, either get them fixed or give them away. Same goes for purses. How many purses can one person use? You probably don't use half of them, and someone else can reap the reward of that. It is time to get it all out of the closet. And if you put it on and don't feel comfortable, then it needs to go. One last thought before we move on. Do you need all the belts, scarves, and ties that you have in your closet? Are they out of style, out of date? I firmly believe in the 1-year theory. If you haven't worn it in the past year or perhaps 2 because of COVID, then perhaps it needs to go. I keep a bag on our bedroom closet floor. And when I put something on, if I take it off because it doesn't feel comfortable, and we've all done that, or I don't like how it looks on me, and it's the 3rd time I've put it on and I didn't like how it looked on me, it goes in the bag. Out of sight, out of mind, out of house. Recycle. It is good to get things out of the house, no matter what the item. And there are places for you to go that you can donate. Believe it or not, the paint that you've had in the basement for the past 10 years, it's not going to match the wall that you painted because that wall has been in the sun and faded, so the paint won't match, but your local paint store can match the paint on the walls. So get rid of the old paint. Get rid of the old aerosol cans, the propane tanks that are empty, the cleaning supplies that you don't like or haven't used in ages. All of that can go to the hazardous waste dump. Electronic waste. Everyone has items that are lying around that don't work anymore or they haven't used in years. Get them out of the house. Our recycle center is all set up for you to drop it off free Wednesday through Saturday. If you have a set or 2 of tires, take them to the dump. It's free. I am amazed at how many of our clients have tires taking up space in their garage that haven't been used for years. Note that this is up to a maximum of 10 tires per household. There are metal dumps located all over the Peterborough area. So items like old swing sets or lawnmowers, ladders, tools that you don't use or are rusty, drop them off. Someone else will benefit from your clearing out. I personally have had lots of luck with curbside giveaways. This is where you hope for the neighbors or someone passing by to go shopping. But remember, you cannot leave it out there for days on end. Put it out, and if someone picks it up within 24 hours, fantastic. Otherwise, make sure you have plans to have a date going to the dump in the imminent future. And if you need help getting to the dump, there are lots of great companies in town who will help you do the drop-off. Textile recycling. Already mentioned this, but I'm going to suggest it one more time. There are lots of bins that are open, and when COVID is done, many of the retirement homes will take fabric that's left over, and there are local quilters who would be happy to take on some fabric to use in their next project. Clothing repairs. Fix your broken zippers, replace batteries and watches, sew on a button, hem those pants so you can wear them. And if you can't, or you don't, reduce, reuse, recycle. Repair those appliances that don't work. We do have the Repair Cafe here in Peterborough. Volunteers at the cafe will help repair your items. Service is free. The goal is to get things out of going into the landfill. While these haven't been happening with COVID, we will hopefully see them opening up in the very near future. Peterborough also has a tool library. They are always looking for tools that someone else can benefit from. I love that they believe our community needs access, not excess. You do require a membership to use the tool library, but not to donate to it. The secret is that this is all about baby steps. Take it one step at a time. It is just all about getting started. While the task may seem insurmountable, once you get started, every space you complete will inspire you to move on to the next until you have a home that will be easier to live in or you are ready to move on to your new place. And when in doubt, Susie Homemaker is happy to help you make a plan to move forward and to help you get started. The truth of the matter is that when one completes this journey of downsizing, even though you will have less things, you will be lighter and happier moving on in the next phase of your life. Thank you so much.